day 16 of my 20-day water fast. Let's see. Today's actually been a pretty relaxed day, pretty laid back. I'd been going so many other days. I decided today to just play it, just cool it down, stay at home, like relax. And you might notice I'm wearing a new fancy little arm brace device here. It might be a little overkill, I'm not sure, but it certainly feels super rock steady. So reason being that I was getting concerned that the super cheap, flimsy little get up that I had from the hospital was just not quite isolating it enough, and I was moving this too much, and it wasn't allowing it to properly start healing, because the bones kept ever so slightly shifting, and then every time you shift it, it screws it up, especially till that first time it actually adheres. So this came in the mail today, Amazon, of course. Stick a link, put a link in the description. Yeah, I think it was like $50. It was like $49.99, something like that. Super customizable. It's like Velcro everything. Like everything is modular. The whole thing is a modular system, so it's actually pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely way more comfortable than the free crap I had from the hospital. And I definitely, like, when I turn, I can definitely, it's like totally immobilized now. My arm, shoulder position, it all moves together with my torso now. So it's definitely, 10 times more secure than it was. So I'm gonna sleep with this contraption tonight, which is actually pretty comfortable compared to the other one that I was using before. And just because I realized after talking to a fellow martial arts a classmate of mine at class yesterday, and he's suffered different injuries before, and he was just like, man, you've got to lock this thing down, especially when you're sleeping. He's like, you don't know how your body does little tweaks and sudden movements in the middle of the night while you're sound asleep, and you may end up waking up in the exact same position, but the hours in between from the time you went to sleep to the time you woke up, you could have tossed and turned, and your arm could have flopped around and stuff, and then re-injured it. So I was like, damn it. I'm like, man, I think he's right. So that's also why I got this, this is what he recommended to me. So that's what I got. Anyways, so that's a change, to help aid with getting this back on track. Let's see, let's hit the numbers. Urine, 5.5. My weight went down again today, was 187. So compared to 187.8 yesterday, so another 0.8 of a pound. So that's good. Drank a good amount of water today, over 3 liters. Urinations about 5 times. The water pH I was drinking today was 9.4. TDS was really low today, 97, and EC 198. I got up just a little after 8 a.m. this morning, and because I didn't get to sleep till like 2 a.m. last night, so that's definitely a recurring pattern that I think I got to work on, because to optimize my growth hormone and healing for this, I should get my ass to sleep. So I'm going to try to get this video finished as soon as possible. It's already after midnight again, and I got to get my ass to sleep. What else? Let's see, today. Feelings, sensations. There was once or twice today, had some little bit of a passing wave of a little bit of gurgling and like ever so slightly stomach hungry growling sensation that just kind of came and went. I mean, it literally only lasted like a couple minutes, and it just like suddenly I felt a wave of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm just noticing it, you know. And I think that's the biggest thing. Takeaway is just like learn to just notice those different bodily sensations without necessarily immediately reacting to those bodily sensations. You know, just like, you know, able to just notice them and go, okay, I feel some grumbling in my stomach. You know, instead of be like, my stomach's grumbling, I'm hungry. You know, getting, you know, detaching from that association. It's like, oh, my stomach is grumbling because my stomach is grumbling. Doesn't mean it's hungry. Doesn't mean any of that. You know, it's just doing what it's doing right now. You know, don't worry about it. Trust me, if you're actually in need of nutrients, your body will make it very clear to you. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, that's what I've learned, you know, from the past. Yeah, energy-wise, today was again pretty, you know, solid, calm. But I chose to not do any work today, and just play it as calm and safe as possible, because I was so concerned that hadn't really set yet, that I was like, man, I've got to get this has to set, because I've got so many other things to do later in the week. You know, I still got to keep my arm in more of a brace thing, but I'm like, I just, you know, take extra precaution to just really lay low today. So I was just doing some meditation, you know, did some meditation, listened to some audiobook, caught up on some episodes of, I hadn't finished watching Silicon Valley, so I'm finally catching up with the last season of that. And then, so, you know, so that's kind of fun, just to kind of take my mind on something else for a change. Let's see. Again, headspace is definitely continuing to open up, you know, a little more intuitive, you know, just I can feel myself day by day, my mind and my relationship with the world is ever so slightly adjusting, ever so slightly expanding, and it's like it's ever so slightly more and more each day leaning more towards the intuitive, and kind of almost like a sense of like connecting to a higher power, and that like decisions are getting easier. And I say that because it's almost like decisions are just getting made more automatically now. Like I'm spending less time having to think, which just sounds kind of strange, but yeah, that's starting to be my experience, where I just go somewhere, or I get into a conversation with my housemate, and I'm noticing that I'm not really spending any time stopping and like thinking like, oh, what should I say? What should I do? Like, I'm noticing that it's just what to do what to say is just really much more effortlessly just appearing. It's like flowing. It's just like it's just like, say like an artist, someone who's like creating their work of art, and all of a sudden it's just like, they didn't spend time racking their brain about like, what should I do? And, many times it's just suddenly this source of inspiration and intuition that suddenly just boom, the imagery of what it is just whoosh, shows up, and it's just there, and then they just start creating it. And so I'm saying it's almost like it's inching towards that, but for just everything, so I'm it's been a slower day, calmer day, and also I'm slipping, like I'm easing and slipping more into this state of surrendering to the universe, or to this higher state of consciousness, and learning to trust it more, because it's definitely occurring to me that it already knows what it already knows what the optimal answer is, so why spend the time trying to come up with, rack your own mind about trying to, your own ego to try to figure it out, when it's like the greater consciousness is just like, well, here you go, now that you've you're purifying your mind, it's almost like a new connection is suddenly available. It's like you're trying to transmit something, and there's too much static. There was too much static and interference before, and so this fast feels like it's clearing up the noise and the static that was getting in the way of accessing this higher level consciousness. And so I'm feeling a more direct connection to it, and so I'm spending less time trying to decide what to do. And as a result, I'm also not wasting time like looking at things like, what should I do? Now it's just like I'm just looking, and it just tells me what to do. Like there's like something inside of me now is just telling me what to do, instead of me spending the time and effort to try to figure out what to do, which is actually very freeing. It's a very freeing, it's simplicity, kind of like the fast of like all these diets, to lose weight. The one thing they all have in common is that they're all complicated, require you to do a lot of effort, make a lot of change. And the thing I love about doing this fast is like, it's like simplicity. It's like the definition of simplicity. It's not about all these complicated things you have to do that are new. It's about just stopping doing a whole bunch of what you were doing before and adding nothing else to it, It's just stop eating everything and just drink this water. That's it, Of course, add a little electrolytes, but it's like, we're talking like a 90% reduction in complexity in your day-to-day living when it comes to food. So it's actually a huge time saver. It makes your life easier and simpler, and it's 10 times, and it's so much more effective than any other diet out there, because it just works consistently every time, and you get better results, because it's like, you know, you're getting your body in its most optimal healing state, you know, eliminating all this inflammation, getting your insulin levels way down. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, there's the diets that it's like for maintenance. Sure. You know, you still have some diets to try to maintain. But for getting down to your weight, I honestly don't even see the point of following any other diet other than just doing a water fast. It's like, why complicate your life and make it harder and slower and more expensive, and have less and have worse results? It's just like, you know, yeah, you pay a bit more of a price in terms of discomfort initially, but I mean, so what? You know, it's like everybody can handle, everyone should get it. Everyone should be able to handle a little discomfort from time to time, you know, especially if it's, you know, regaining the health of your body. So, and of course, I'm saying this from the other side, you know, went through the harder stage of this process. So I understand that it seems difficult, but, you know, anybody can do this if they actually, you know, it's just if they believe they could. And I just think a lot of people just don't believe they can. So I guess that's what I'm hoping that, you know, as people see my results, that they will question what they believe. And I'm definitely, you know, even my roommate today was just like, he's like, I'm still like, you know, how he's in amazement that you know, 16 days of not eating, and he's just thinking like, this doesn't even seem possible. You know, it's like, how in the world are you going for this long and not eating any food? Like, this doesn't, you know, it's like his mind keeps telling him like, man, after just a few days of not eating food, you're just gonna like drop dead, or you're gonna, you know, you should just drop dead, or you should just like be so like weak and unable to do anything because you haven't eaten in days. And here I am, like fully energetic and, you know, talking up a storm and running up and down the stairs and doing all these things, and it's like I haven't slowed down at all. I mean, aside from today, you know, intentionally slowed down, but it's like my energy level has no desire of slowing down, you know. And so, you know, so I already see that I'm making an impact on him. You know, he's definitely, and now he's even talking about, he's like, maybe I should do a fast too. So it's funny. Things are starting to work, you know, like it's starting to influence some people that they're just like, they're seeing me and getting these results. And I'm like, holy crap. It's like, at least it was only like, since just after Christmas that you started, and it's like, you're already down to this, like, holy crap. Like, so that's kind of exciting to see that, you know, what I'm doing, it's helping myself, you know, bettering myself. And it you know, and it's starting to also have a positive influence, you know, and quite possibly a positive impact on other people that in direct, you know, that I interact with, and that, you know, I mean, hopefully more people will choose to take on doing water fasting as a more regular part of their diet and their ritual, their body maintenance rituals. Let's see. Oh yeah, one more thing. There was so I was doing some research about looking more into what's called autophagy, which is basically, it's during water fasting where the body starts to go through all the cells and extra supplies, you know, extra material, and extra material, extra, damaged tissues, things like that. It's throughout the body. They go through and just like, it's like scavengers, and just go through and start to pull all this stuff out, and take this unused fragments, and start to synthesize other needed building blocks and units for energy and things like that. And one of the things they talked about was loose skin. And so this is definitely a sensitive topic for myself, because I have some loose skin on my body, because at one point, like at my highest, I think in like high school, I think I was close to like 300 pounds or something. It was just, I cringe whenever I look at some of those old photos. I'm just like, oh my God, like what the heck? How was it allowed to get that bad, I don't know, maybe it was like 300. I don't think I quite hit 300 pounds, but it was definitely in the high 200s. It was just as a teenager, 280 something, 290 or whatever. It's just like, that's insane. So anyways, as a result, I have some loose skin around like my chest area and my stomach region, and around my thighs and stuff. And so, I'm kind of self-conscious about it. And so it's been something that's been a source of discomfort and embarrassment for most of my life. Like where I feel like I can never be free to just be in my body, like free to just take my shirt off and run on the beach and stuff. Like I've never had those experiences, because I just don't feel comfortable. And so I'm just like, I really want to starting this new chapter of this, new transformed body, new identity. I want to be able to finally partake in those kind of experiences, and so the thing that really got me excited and optimistic is when I was reading some material about autophagy, and one of the known effects has been that once the body gets down to a certain size, the body is intelligent, and it understands that you have excess skin, and it doesn't waste anything. And so as the autophagy process goes into a more advanced stage, it actually, and again, this is what I read about, that it actually starts to remove, there's a technicality. It's not like removing a sliver chunk of it. It's like throughout the whole skin folds that you have. You might have some like loose skin, and it's like removing material, removing skin cell material from entire areas, so then it causes the entire surface of the skin to start to shrink. I don't know, I might be explaining it totally wrong, but it ends up pulling material out of your skin to the degree that it allows it to start to shrink and to tighten back up again. Because the example I had read, or actually there might have been another video I saw, but the example they gave was someone who's been like, it's like in a concentration camp, for instance. You've seen some of those pictures, which are are horrifying. But they pointed something out that never thought about. Was it's like, okay, as horrifying as that was, that did you notice that none of those people, even though they were down to skin and bones, they didn't have any loose skin? Why not? Some of these people were fully grown men before, and now they're half their size, and yet their skin is taut. to their bodies. And they're like, that's autophagy at work, you know. And also the healing process of doing the fasting, the autophagy also restores helps to restore the collagen in the skin, to restore its natural elasticity. Okay, so anyway, so all of that, now I'm seeing that, okay, I see a real possibility that I can continue on this fast, and that it will gradually should start to consume and take up the loose skin portions around my center section, my belly and sides and my chest area, and tighten everything up. And I'm just like, man, if this works, this will like save me doing a surgery. Because that's the thing, I was planning on doing a surgery originally. And the funny thing is, kind of the spirit of the the bouncing back channel, I had a major setback with back in 2017. I had gotten money put into Bitcoin, actually more specifically some of the altcoins, you know what that means. And I happened to pick two of the fastest growing ones, and so yeah, ended up, next thing I know, suddenly I made like $100,000, but it was in crypto still, and it was at the peak, of course. And so I remember at the peak, and it was like right in the first week of January where everything had peaked. And I said, and I remember saying to myself, I'm like, wow, I can afford to pay the surgery right now. And, I knew the surgery was going to be like at least $20,000, $30,000. And I'm like, wow, I could afford to pay the surgery right now. And then a few days later, I didn't sell. And a few days later, basically most of the value just evaporated because everything just totally bottomed out. And I was so devastated at the time. And part of the devastation that came with it was the thought that like I had the opportunity to finally get this surgery that I've been dreaming about doing for years. And I had the opportunity. It was right there on a silver platter, and I didn't take it. And I was just like, what the hell is wrong with me? That was my mindset at the time. And it was my mindset all the way up until just recently. Still looking back, like, man, why didn't I at least do that? At least use the money for that? Because now who the hell knows when I'll have, how long it's going to take for me to have the money to pay for that surgery. And now I'm like, there's like a renewed sense of hope, and almost like it hit me. I was like, holy crap, like, maybe losing all that money, maybe it saved me. I'm seeing it differently now. That perhaps that was the best thing that could have happened, because then maybe if I did go through that surgery, I might have had all of these complications, and I might have ended up like, I'm not happy with the results because now I've got these obvious scar marks and stuff like that, and definitely be a scar around my waistline, and I would then have to live with that for the rest of my life, and there would be no going back. I couldn't undo it. And so, with my discovery of that, with the autophagy and the fasting, literally will be able to burn, tighten up the skin. And suddenly I'm just like, holy man, if this actually works, this is actually going to give me much better results than had I done the surgery. And I don't spend the $30,000, and I wind up not having these, maybe they're subtle scars, but they're just scars nonetheless that I would have to carry with me for the rest of my life. And now that spared me that. And so I'm finding myself feeling very grateful now that it's like, it's kind of like what Steve Jobs said it had, is that commencement speech at Stanford, I believe. One of the lines that he said was, he's like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. And I feel like today that I just connected. It feels like I just connected a major dot. Connected with that, it's like, wow, maybe there was some other higher source up there that was kind of guiding things. Like I needed to go through a certain experience. I needed to experience that sense of loss, and that it also served to protect me from doing something that I might have regretted for the rest of my life. So I'm just like, oh wow, that's crazy. I mean, I don't have the results yet, but it there seems to be enough evidence presented to me that I definitely believe that this will work. But it's going to take a longer fast to get there, because I am definitely, the funny thing is, as I'm doing this fast and I'm shedding all this fat, the more fat I shed, the more I realize how much fat I still have. I'm like, holy crap, I'm at one of the lightest weights I've been, and I can't even remember how long. And yet I'm looking and I'm like, Jesus, there's like still just huge handfuls. Like I'm feeling all my legs. I'm like, there's still a thick layer of fat all over my thighs. There's still like so much around my waist. There's still like, I can feel it everywhere. Like, I'm just like, damn, there's gotta be at least another 30, 40 pounds of fat on me, And so I'm just like, wait, how much of me again is actual, just like, the main, minus all the fat, what's left, what's actually really there, the muscle and bones and, muscle, skeleton, organs, skin, all that stuff. Like, I'm realizing, I'm like, man, I was composed of a lot more fat than I realized. And apparently everyone else too, they always thought, they're like, oh, you're not really fat. And I'm like, I am pretty fat. And for some reason, I guess maybe I carried the weight well in my body with the clothes I was wearing, so I didn't appear to be that fat. And yet I was like pre-obese. My BMI was like 27.59, given, for being a 6'1" male, 215 pounds. That's a 27.59 in 27.59, every fraction thing, but definitely it's over 27 BMI, which is, that's really damn high. I think once you hit 30, you're obese, something like that. So I was literally right on the edge of being obese. And everyone said, oh, you're not fat. It's like, how can you be right on the edge of, but I don't know. I keep thinking, like, are they just lying to me? Are they just trying to say nice things and they're not willing to just tell me the damn truth? But I'm not going to use that anymore. Now it's like, I just use my own truth, my own knowing, my own observation. It's just like, hey, does it look good or not? Do I feel good or not? And just go based on that. So, what else? The other thing is, given that I had rebroken this collarbone pretty deep into the fast already, we're talking like, less than a week ago that I rebroke it. And it feels like today it's finally settled. It's finally holding together without moving now. So it's kind of a critical time right now. um, I have this concern that perhaps some of the critical minerals, calcium, supplies, things like that, like that all the necessary building blocks for building strong bones, perhaps was already, partially used up in the beginning of my fast, because, I was coming from eating, very hearty meals, a lot of, meals that have, with meat and nutrients and things like that, right before I started my fast. And then it healed within a few days. It started getting, more, it solidified, and then it was starting to really heal in place. And then I broke it again, when my mom, with my mom, because she slipped and hung onto my arm and then yanked it back out. So because of that, this concern has kind of been building in my mind. So now I'm like, all right, I'm willing to keep going on the fast. And I said I was going to break the fast with bone broth. But now I'm going to modify things a little bit. So my plan now is to keep going until day 20. So finish 20 days of water fasting. But then starting on day 21, instead of just simply, saying, well, I don't feel like stopping yet, so I'll just keep going on the water fast, I will continue drinking the water, but then I'm going to supplement with the bone broth. And so I'm not going to replace the water with the bone broth. I'm just going to start drinking 8 ounces, 16 ounces worth of bone broth a day, starting on day 21, and then the rest just drink water in between. And so I think that kind of, then I'll feel more confident that my body has what it needs to actually build back these bones really strong. Given that it's doing it on round 2, and now it's round 2 of fixing it again during the same fast. So, so that's, that will also kind of quell my concerns as well. And I think it'll probably be good, and also notice, be able to notice is that, that it should keep me it should stay in ketosis mode, so the fast will still be probably moving along at a similar pace. I might slow down on the weight loss a little bit, probably not much, because the amount of bone broth I'll consume will amount to less than 100 calories, spread out through the day. So it's hardly gonna really trigger any response. It's directly, it's easily very absorbed. Doesn't need digestion, not much digestion really at all. It just absorbs. So the only thing is it may turn the autophagy, turn it down. That's my main concern. But my first concern is make sure that this is being rebuilt as strong as possible. So the plan at this point is to fast, so day 20, and then from day 21 to day 30 be supplementing with bone broth. And then after 10 days of bone broth, then possibly go back to water only again after day 30, with the electrolytes, of course. And I believe that it's probably going to be in those last 10 days where then, by removing the bone broth again, I think it will go back to, maximum autophagy. And then that hopefully will really hit my skin, the loose skin issue, and really push me down there. And I don't know how light I'm gonna be at day 40. I mean, I'm at day 16. I've already dropped 27 pounds, and I know part of it's water weight, of course. But yeah, get to day 40. There's definitely a lot of fat burned off, and so I'm hoping that by day 40, like all the deeper fat has really been just dissolved away, like all the fat around my abdomen. Like I should be able to just like touch my stomach and just feel muscle, skin, and then muscle, and then all that fat is just gone, you know. So that's I'm just determined to just keep going. I'm just going to keep going, just alternate between water only and bone broth, and back to water only, and just keep going until my body tells me to just stop. And then of course then I'll switch back to just then consume just bone broth for a while, and then fade back up. And then, you know, if I have to, you know, make one more round, you know, so, and that's okay too, you know, if that happens. You know, made tremendous progress. And so, yeah. So that's where I'm at, and oh, crap, it's already like 1 in the morning. All right. Well, so much for going to bed earlier, but better end the video now. So, yep, on to day 17. All right. See you then.